Quiet future. Renfrey the traitor. Creeple, you are my man. You know how all we do will serve to bend all wills to mine. We both now sow a rich harvest which we will reap as soon as the cold winter snow melts. By then we'll just have to sweep the remaining filth of our foe into a pit, and we'll heap upon it everything we know to be symbolic of their weak faith. We'll burn it and watch it flow. Then the core, the ark, which I seek will be ours, and the pagan Red King will prostrate himself before me. Meek Bishop Donglak will then be bled, and of his blood we all shall drink, and from his flesh we shall be fed. Imagine that, Creeple, and think of the power. Already we are strong. Just close your eyes and blink. When you open them, you will see droves of minions join my effort to reclaim my territory. There's nothing to which I'll stop short to gain the power of the core. Once we break through the city fort, and we do all that does abhor their sensibilities, the ark will be entered, and then the core will be mine. I will light the dark. All nations at their knee will bend, once they behold the old great spark. And to me, Creeple, they will send envoys showing their fealty. Creeple, you cannot comprehend the power that will come to me. No longer will the vice cartel control me. No, I will levy their goods. New trade routes will compel them to come to me as their aid. Wordless Songs of the Bells. Just then the great cathedral bell of Magnopolis rang. It bade the faithful to mass as it tolled its heavy song. King Renfrey laid outside the gates of the stronghold of Martel, of Dunglak, of Hope. The song was carried on the cold winds of the Advent season. The rope swinging the bell, made of hemp, thick and strong, was the same as the Pope used on his naval fleet. Their quick ships were busy contending with a large branch of heretic Muslims who reject the rending of infidel heads by the sword, accepting Jesus and blending his teachings into a restored Islam that raised a caliphate of peace and learning when the sword of Daesh, hacking at the gate of freedom, woke from deep slumber the spirit that helped liberate those who sought to unencumber themselves from an old tyranny. Justice got hold of their number and showed them what the colony boys and girls did with oppressive tyrannies. With their cousins, free and strong, they stopped the divisive force who embraced pride, wrath, and death, by means overt and subversive. The bald, screaming eagles of death, mental miracles that take flight, and from above deliver death. The venomous rattlesnake bite got in their blood and did infect them, turning their oppressed to fight back, to take back and resurrect a spirit of peace and of life. After this the world did reflect, again resolving to end strife. Soon after was found harmonic fusion, energy for all life. By the fusing of atomic hydrogen, endless flowing of the electromagnetic energy, electrons snowing equally for the rich and poor. The power of love kept growing, the power revealed by that poor, stubborn nation tribe, Israel, who for centuries waited for the one known as Emmanuel. God spoke to Israel alone, just one tribe among all who fell, with the tasty bite that would loan the knowledge of evil and good. What a burden has been that loan! That tree should have been chopped for wood. One tribe had God, while others searched for truth, for sense, for how they should live, while planet Earth rocked and lurched in space. Tribes of the Gentile kind could not reach what so high was perched on their own. So God, gentle and kind, merciful, waited. With each trip around the sun, he would remind his chosen race to never slip and fall, to obey his command. But so tight is the devil's grip, even while resting in God's hand. In time, though, was born a Jewish girl in a province of Roman land, Of a priceless price is this pearl, such that God sent her great Gabriel. Ave Maria, help unfurl God's plan to fulfill Israel as the tribe which is to give birth to the one called Emmanuel. You, favored one, will give birth to a boy. Jesus is his name. Fiat, she responds. I'll give birth to this boy, my son, and his name as God asks. And so he was born, quite anonymous, to no fame, beyond Herod, man of deep scorn. Buddhists, Hindus, pagan tribes, Greek philosophers, natives who adorn themselves with nature, all who seek truth and life around the world. None knew of Jesus, but he would speak to them all. Already the Son of God was held in every heart of every human, from sun rising to setting. He's the part that nurtures babies, feeds the poor, heals the sick, and humbles the smart. It was unknown that he would pour out his blood in a small, unknown province of Rome. Some Romans wore purple robes, showing that they owned riches. Jesus was robed in such robes, even though he did not own a thing. Jesus healed with a touch. But did Jesus ever resist the evil done to him? How much could you take? Were you ever kissed by one who loved you, who gave you hate? So was he. Even his friends dissed him in his hour of need. You hate, he loves. This is the man unknown, in your heart when you contemplate the good, the same who was unknown to the scattered tribes all around the globe, who long ago were blown to the four corners where they found foreign lands, rich and exotic, discovering truths both profound and simple, expanding in quick, painful ways. Tribes and nations grew, twine and stick to mortar and brick, temples rising to the Hindu gods in the Ganges, pyramids of the Nile, tombs of pharaohs who conjured curses, entry forbids, while the moderns whose towers rise from asphalt streets laid out in grids, heard myth as soft echoing cries. To all is Christ the man unknown. He is the one you despise. In every single missile thrown at another human being is Jesus, the God-man unknown. Those who from evil are fleeing seek the shelter of agape. Back inside the gates. Bishop and king are now seeing, as cloud-filtered sunlight brings day, Renfrew's dark horde. The Alamo, Malta, then Tours, describe this day. There was no stopping of the flow against the walls, against the gate. Bishop Dunglac let his bow and arrows soar against the hate, protecting the weak, innocent sheep that he fed viaticum. Slate skies hid the sun while cold winds sweep across the city from the lake, howling into the city keep. Those sheltered within feel the quake of battering ram and the shot of catapult. The children shake with dread with each successive shot, promising death, quarter to none. Large cauldrons of oil, scalding hot, like bright tentacles of a sun flare, burst into flames as it poured on those trying to overrun the gates along the wall. The horde of hell was relentless, shouting death, covetous of all things stored behind the walls. Thick smoke clouding his sight, Martel swung his hammer high atop his steed, not doubting victory. There was no glamour to be won, only heads to smash. All around metallic clamor of sword on armor and the crush of battle axe, and the loud thud and crack of wooden clubs that bash skull and chest, or rider and stud. Through the sky soar arrow and spear, randomly raining into mud or into flesh. Frenzy and fear fill the eyes of those the Red King charges down, while far in the rear of his hordes is Renfrew, watching the red misery, honor blind. Bishop Dunglac and his fighting monks, their arrows spent, are lined along the wall top and the gate, slashing those climbing the inclined ladders, held by enormous weight. Behind the walls, John and Gear hide with those charged to eradicate their progress on the ark. They bide their time praying, the rosary for some like John. Those who denied such things prayed the infinity force chain, recalling 12 matter particles, the four energy forces, how they talk and chatter, converting property and form as they coalesce and scatter in an electronic space-time storm. Key equations around the chain tell how the universe took form. Names of those who came to attain these mysteries were recalled. They gave hope. Humankind came to gain such natural knowledge and may once again ignite the great spark, putting to an end this decay. Among those praying for the spark was Gear. He was trained by M for a certain function of the ark, though he knew not what it was for at the time. Outside mankind's pride was rushing headlong to a fore, brave soldiers fighting for their side. The unfortunate and the weak, mortality strikes down their pride. The fortunate, bold and brave, seek glory, honor, and to return home after defending the weak, not letting the enemy burn life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. M. had Gear learn the energy force chain to root the modern's knowledge in his head, because with math Gear was astute. But what was it M. had said? Love is the undergirding force, the one word that by God was said, setting existence in its course. Her words would just not leave his mind. How could love, a word, be the source of all? Love exists in the mind. Do numbers or logic convey love? Rattle went the thick-lined city walls. Hardly had the day begun when the constant onslaught of boulders and monstrous baked clay bricks was launched. City dwellers caught behind the walls stayed near the fleet. Near the fleet of ships on the lake. The distraught ones, sure of imminent defeat, were aboard the ships for escape. Behind the main gate, the broad street of Mag City, the great lakescape, at its end where photons of light from the sun wake up the landscape, even as king and bishop fight. It was there, toward where gray sky meets the lake, blue swell, that the sight of masts on the horizon, high in the air, came into the view of a lookout. She gave the cry of approaching ships, and then flew down the high mast of the crow's nest, to alert the captain and crew of the ever-encroaching guest, visible through the telescope. Inside the ark, technicians test the core's ability to cope with the barrage of rock and clay. Years of work are behind their hope in the ark to bring a new day to Mag City. They have done much preparing and are in dismay that one such as Renfrey might touch the sacred core, the modern's gift. They could yet keep it from his clutch. The core's brain was designed to shift to a small extractable heart anyone could easily lift and carry. The shape of the heart was thin and rectangular, quite inconspicuous for its part. The ark itself, a guiding light for those who worthily found it, and a dark, all-consuming blight for those who would dare abuse it, provided needed instruction on how the ark's contents could fit into daily operation seamlessly and bring them toward the aftermath reconstruction. Now the heart was brought forward from its home deep within the core, for on the battlefield a herd of buffalo thundered and tore across the plain outside the gate, led by something out of folklore. A white buffalo, like a freight train, unstoppable, blowing steam, coal-hot eyes, a ton of living weight, charging on as if in a dream. That was just one. An endless line followed. Men smashed into a cream, covering the land as the line charged forth. Destruction everywhere remained. The last of Renfrey's line of troops recovered and set their sights on the now unguarded gate. Myrtle and Dunglak were nowhere to be seen. Finally, his fate was here. Renfrey the man, the king, succeeded to eliminate his foes. Oh, the ages would sing of his glorious victory. How his greatness called forth the king of buffaloes for their gory stampede. Oh, yes, this was so good. Now would begin Renfrey's story. They walked forward past splintered wood, stepping over and on the dead bodies of their own who once stood minutes ago when they were wed to their bodies still, and had fought for Renfrey, king, until they bled to death. Everywhere Renfrey caught sight of the richness on the field. Gilded swords and silver shields brought good riches. But he'd have to yield to his destiny to the core. Before the great gate, Renfrey kneeled. "From now on, all men will adore me," he cried, his tears streaming down his face. Opening with a roar, the gates revealed an empty town. Mag's city was now desolate. No one to greet him with a crown. No, not even a desperate townie wielding a short sword crying vengeance. Depauperate old city! Soon he could afford to fill the city with shouting whores and drunken merchants. With his sword still sheathed, he walked past open doors, all along Mag's city's broad street. At the end they saw the great oars of ships jutting out like the feet of some strange insect that would row away those who suffered defeat. As they sauntered, cold winds blowed, echoing through the quiet town. They came to an entrance they know must be the Ark. From Creeple's gown he unwraps the sphere, its black glow complete. King Renfrey knocks it down on the stone ground. Creeple shrieks, "No! No! No! No!" He falls on his knees, shaking, squealing, "No! No! No! No!" Renfrey laughs a laugh that would freeze the lake. For the first time he draws his sword. Creeple, still on his knees beside himself, gives a brief pause to look up. He meets Renfrey's stare, silver and cold. Quickly he draws the stranger's dagger. He can't bear to live without his treasured sphere. He turns it on himself right there. But King Renfrey's sword slices through Creeple's head from ear to ear. Eagerly, King Renfrey storms into the Ark's entrance, expecting what he did not know. Renfrey walked through another door, down a hall, but no sign of a core. Stomping on, he comes to the hall's end. A shut door, etched with an unknown icon. As he's searching for a handle, the voice of an automaton greets the king. "Renfrey the Vandal, welcome to Mag City. Enter." The door opens. "Thou, King Vandal, proceed now to the room's center. Your battle for the Ark and core is over." Now in the center, Renfrey finally has the core, his destiny. It knows his name, his servant, waiting eons for his arrival. King of ill fame, you sought the core, the Ark, the power unfathomable. To reclaim what was lost, your search for power ends here. The sphere known as Sheol led you here. We will now shower you with that which will hold your soul until the end. Oh, Renfrey's mind soared with pleasure. Power of old was his. One with the modern's mind, he alone would illuminate the world. He felt a soft, strange kind of sticky moisture decorate his skin. This shower, what a strange ritual used to adulate, he thought, beginning to estrange from self-control. He froze in place with seeing eyes that will exchange glances with a far distant race, far removed by the clock's tick-tock.